$75. Can a lens that costs $75 be any good? Keep watching and you'll find out. Any photographer building a kit out from scratch will tell you that glass can get expensive fast. Fujifilm's cheapest lens, the XC16-50 lens, costs $200, and well, it's cheap. It's made of plastic, it has a plastic mount, but it does have good optics. Fortunately, there's a wide variety of third-party lenses out there for the Fujifilm system, and if you don't mind manually focusing, some of them are really good. Enter the Meike 25 f1.8 lens. If the name Meike sounds familiar, that's because they also make a battery grip that I reviewed for the XT3. You can see that video in the link down below in the description. The lens I'll be talking about today is the Meike MK 25mm f1.8 lens, and this is for the Fujifilm system. As I said, it's a manual focus lens, and if you aren't familiar or comfortable with how to focus a lens manually on the Fujifilm system, I'll be covering some tips on how to achieve that as well. Fuji makes some great tools that make manually focusing really simple, and I'll go over those later in the review. The MK25 1.8 is a solid little lens. With a 37.5mm field of view, it's very close to the equivalent Fujifilm 23mm lens, which is a 35 and full frame equivalent. The lens features a metal lens mount and a metal exterior. In terms of build quality, it punches way above its weight. This is a solidly built lens. The lens itself is comprised of 7 elements in 5 groups with multi-layer coatings. The aperture ring for this lens is declicked, which means there's no stop for each f-stop. So if you're shooting video, this is a welcome addition because you can transition between f-stops very seamlessly. But if you're shooting stills, it makes it a bit more challenging for this lens to nail the appropriate f-stop. But it's pretty good. It's not horrible. You get used to it, and it's not bad. And for video, it's great actually. The minimum focusing distance of this lens is 0.25 meters or 0.82 feet, about 9.8 inches. The lens is 49mm in diameter and uses screw-in filters. Now, before you can use a third-party lens on a Fujifilm system, you have to enable the ability to shoot without lens. To do this, go into Setup, Button Dial Settings, and Shoot Without Lens. Unfortunately, you can't add this option to the My menu, which makes it a bit challenging to find it if you forget it. However, once you do set it, you can just leave it on because this setting works fine with Fujifilm's native lenses, and you can just take those on and off and you have no problem at all. Okay, so here we will go over the different focusing tools you've got with the Fujifilm X system. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that on the front of your camera the MCS dial is turned all the way over to M, and that obviously stands for manual. Then you want to click the menu button on the back of your camera and come down to AFMF. Go to the second screen and come down to MF Assist, and you'll see here on the XT3 we've got 4 settings: standard, digital split image, digital microprism, and color. Now standard is just really a standard tool where you use the back button dial by pressing it in to zoom into your image, and then you can adjust focus that way. So you just get a little bit of zoom there when you press in that button. The second option, digital split image, has 2 options, sub-options, monochrome and color. Color basically gives you a little square in here with your image in color, obviously, and you can use that darkened square to, again, zoom in if you want, and you get a bit more contrast this way. And obviously, if you so desire, you can change that to monochrome, and you zoom in, you get your image in monochrome, and then you can zoom in there. The third mode you get is digital microprism. This is a throwback to the old style cameras that featured this, and again you can zoom in on this as well and use the microprism image in the center of the camera to handle your focus. The fourth and probably the most useful tool is Focus Peak Highlight, and with this tool you get several different colors that you can use to focus. white, red, blue, yellow. And how many colors you get really depends upon the version of firmware and the camera that you're using. The older cameras have fewer options, the newer ones have more. So for this test, I'm just going to use yellow high. And you'll see here that as I zoom in, everything that is in focus is highlighted by yellow. So that makes it easy to know what part of the image is actually in focus. Now let's talk about image quality. If you temper your expectations, the quality is pretty good. Yes, there is a bit of chromatic aberration as seen in this screenshot, but it's not horrible. And it's much less than some native Fujifilm lenses, so take that for what it's worth. Bokeh is pleasing, if a bit chaotic at f1.8. There's a bit of distortion, which is easily correctable if it bothers you in Lightroom. Overall, the optics are good. They're not great, but they're good. For a lens of this type, that's to be expected. I mean, you're paying $75. I mean, I find that the lens has a character that I really like about it. I wouldn't pull this out in a paid gig, a wedding gig, or something like that, but for shooting family and shooting street, especially if you're comfortable with zone focusing, it's a great little lens. The best part about this lens is the price, obviously. It's a whopping $74.99 on Amazon. And at this price, it's a good lens. You just need to temper your expectations. If you're not comfortable shooting manually, you're going to find that shooting at f1.8, which is honestly why you're probably buying this lens, is going to be a bit difficult. That very shallow depth of field, it's razor thin, and with manual focus, it's very tough to nail the focus. But if you're shooting family and street photography, this is a good application for this lens, and I don't think you'll be disappointed in the price. Get it in your bag, you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button and the big red subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.